Hey, thanks for taking the time to check this out. My name is Michael Lindes. I am an engineer at Comcast in Philadelphia in the Connected Living organization. And so to get right into it, we are migrating a lot of infrastructure to AWS, and we are migrating a lot of our visibility tools and monitoring tools to Datadog. Datadog, as you probably know, has this AWS integration component, which can be used to pull a lot of metrics out of CloudWatch. It's a great start to get a lot of those easy metrics off the top. My team is known internally as a bit of a shared services team. We create tools and provide services to other teams around Comcast. And we try to do everything as immutably as we can with infrastructure as code, with automated deploys, with pipelines. And so we looked at this integration and we wanted to make it easy for other teams to ingest. The tool of choice that we typically go to is Terraform. But with regards to the Datadog AWS integration, Datadog needs their AWS account to have access to your AWS account to scrape those CloudWatch metrics. There's a two-step component to setting it up. You do the Datadog configuration, and you grab an external ID from that, and you stick it into the IAM policy that you create on the AWS side. When it comes to building this out as a tool, to us, it looked like a module was a simple solution. That's how it generally works. It takes a couple components and wraps them into one code block. So it worked great for a few accounts, but there's several accounts that we're not so happy with as account owners who either don't have access to create integrations in Datadog, or they just don't have Terraform as a tool of choice. So we decided we had to come up with more than one method. We decided to hold on to Terraform to create the Datadog configuration side of things, but for the IAM role, we created two parts. We had created a module in Terraform that teams can pick up and use if they like Terraform, if that's what they generally go to, or there's a CloudFormation template that we created as well. And for that CloudFormation template, to make things a little more simple, we created a make file with some directives and stick the two into a Docker container, and you can have some one-liners to create that IAM role that Datadog needs. I'll get into that a little more later on. First, to take a look at this resource. The resource requires an account ID and a role name. Beyond that, everything is optional. We get into host tags. We'd like to have a few host tags that teams use. So I'll show you that in my variable definition, and the filter tags can be used to limit EC2 collection. We don't touch on that here. But the namespace rules, you may notice that they're all set to true. That is a full integration that we have for these slide examples. To look at our resource here, with this variable here, these two resources, it's one resource with one variable, can create all of the AWS integrations that we need in Datadog. If we wanted full integration, we have a few options of how to do this, but we could have all of them as full integrations, and this would do it right here. To look at the variable that we use for that, the variable is a map that has a list of all the AWS accounts that we want to use. These are the account numbers on the left-hand side here, and on the right, these are the host tags that I mentioned. This makes it so that all the metrics that get gathered by the AWS integration component get tagged with these tags. And we ask that our teams use a team tag and an environment tag. A lot of them have one AWS account per environment, so that makes it easy. It helps a lot for bigger dashboards and higher levels of visibility. But to take a closer look at our resource here, if you look at the upper left, we have this for each component. This is a newer feature as of Terraform 12, and it's with this feature that we're able to use just the one resource. It's similar to count in earlier versions of Terraform, but it's a lot more versatile. So with this for each expression, it can take a list or a map as input, and in our case, we are using a map, as I showed you. The map has the account ID on the left as a key, and the host tags as this value. And together, with that one variable plugged into here, it will create multiple resources in the back end with just these two, with this one resource definition. So right there, we have all of our integrations taken care of. One resource definition, and people can stick in and pull requests to update their tags, whatever they like. It's very easy to manage, and this is a very powerful area of Terraform 12 that they're beginning to build out a lot more. So to take it one step further, I mentioned that external ID that gets generated that's going to be needed in the IAM role. So if we want to capture that, we can create another resource. Here, we create an SSM resource so that we can write that external ID to SSM. And again, it's one definition, one SSM resource definition. I can use an additional for each loop or expression to loop over all of the resources that get created. And with it, it will use the same key, that account number, and it will take the output of the previous resource and stick it into this each value external ID parameter here. So then we write, this causes the path to be written into SSM with this Datadog path with the key as the unique part, and the value will be that external ID created, so we can just go there and pull it out and use it for that role creation. Again, with these two resources now defined, we've created all of our Datadog integrations, and we've written all the external IDs to SSM so that we can reference them. It's really a fantastic feature of Terraform. To take it one step further, just to mention it, the loop, there's not only a for each expression, there is also a straight up for expression like this one, which can iterate over the objects that were just previously created. So in this case, with an object named R, like resource, I can reference the account ID and the external ID. And right in this example, I'm writing it to the output, so that when we run a pipeline, or all of those account IDs and external IDs will be written out, and I can grab the one that I need. It's, again, more powerful feature and very handy. So to move on with it, as I said, we need to take this external ID that's created to move and create the IAM role in the AWS account. And as I said, we have two ways of handling this. A Terraform module, it is a very simple way of taking several resources and wrapping them up into one little code block like this. This code block just takes the external ID that was created, and it creates the role with all the access that's needed in AWS. Similarly, the CloudFormation template does the same thing. I don't know that AWS has the concept of a module or a remote template, but teams can copy our template here, or they can use our Docker container, like I said. By putting this template in the container with a make file that has some simple directives, everything becomes simple. In general, this is a pattern that my team follows across the board. So when it comes to something like Terraform, we'll have a build container and a make file, and we have a simple plan and apply directives. Here's an example showing the plan directive. But we can do the same with our CloudWatch, or our CloudFormation, template. In the Docker container with the CloudFormation template, we have a simple create directive. And what this allows is somebody can just run a simple make create command, and if the access is there, the IAM role will be created. It's a one step. Here is the full from the make file that we have. It turns into, it's a few steps really. You have to clone the repository, and then once the repository is cloned and you're in the right directory, you can enter the Docker container with this command. You can authenticate to AWS with this one. This is an internal tool that we have. And then once you are authenticated, you can run this create command with the external ID, and the IAM role is in place, and the Datadog integration should begin working momentarily. But what this really is, just the one command. of make create with your external ID. Without the make file, it can be a bit lengthy. It's have to have people copy several lines and make sure they get the tags right, etc. But in the end, with this one make create command, my team can give your team all the visibility you need in Datadog. So there are a couple modules out there, community modules, that do the same idea, similar to the first module that we created, which expect you have the access to AWS and to Datadog. Feel free to use those. I'm sure they're great. I really wanted to touch on a little bit of the power of Terraform 12 so that if you are managing a lot of resources like this and Terraform is your tool of choice, it's very simple. Similarly, we manage users this way. All the user accounts are separated into 3 groups of admin or read-only or read-write, and automatically with these few resources, users can put in a pull request to have their name stuck into the correct area, and they can get their access. It's really wonderful. And on our integrations, as I touched on, we have similar. We have that full integration resource, which I went into here, but we also have a billing only integration. We have one that manages for US only versus EU only. There's a couple levels, so it's more than 2, but it's a lot less than 1 or 2 resources per AWS account, which turns into a bit of a nightmare to manage. Anyhow, that's it for me now. Thank you very much. I hope you found it interesting, and feel free to reach out to me otherwise if I could clarify any of this for you offline. Enjoy.